We got a guy in St. Martin, St. Kitts that actually came from the cruise organizer. He's one of the biggest real estate companies there. So they want to do it for that part, you know. So and he's a Canadian, Keller Williams, so he found them already there.
That's awesome.
Isn't it?
Okay. In which languages? Mandarin, Chinese?
Everywhere, right?
Well, Putonghua Buhao Dubachi. So Mandarin, Indian, a little bit. I used to speak Bahasa Indonesian pretty good. Mi español es muy bien. And of course, Pig Latin.
Pig Latin.
Yeah.
Bueno, es muy poquito because I did not practice.
Oh, lo siento.
I was 8.
And sprechen Sie Deutsch?
No, you do though, huh? Good, good.
You're busy.
Yeah.
But you, I think you speak some French, right?
Well, if you speak
Okay.
German, you speak French.
Okay.
We. Not. Then we not.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
we're
know.
ready to go. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and thank you all for attending our good.
What is it?
It's our Good Bill hunting.
Yeah, there you go.
It's our Good Bill.
I love it.
Good.
Yeah. She is quick. God, on a Thursday morning.
So we have with us, we are very fortunate to have with us Bill Hunt, who has over 40 years of experience in the industry in leadership, in business growth, business franchising. And he's here to talk to us today about our opportunities, all of our opportunities to expand outside of our own borders, not just the borders of our minds, but our U.S. borders, okay? So with a very appreciative round of applause, let's bring Bill to the mic.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, so, and I am really excited. Katie, thank you for having me come in. When I first came to Keller Williams 4 years ago, this was the first market center that I did training in. Remember that? And then I think we were doing Recruit Selector or Recruit Select or maybe, yeah, with Kristen Cole and DR was also doing training. So it's good to be back, and I've been asking to be able to come back in. So as you can see, my role is international business consultant for Keller Williams. And I just happen to live over here in the Southwest Hills.
Imagine that.
How about that? Yeah. Yeah, so I spend a week a month in Austin, and then I get to travel around a little bit. John Hatch and I spent a remarkable week in the Caribbean in January on a Keller Williams cruise where we saw 4 different islands, looked at projects. We were just talking about it. We're going to do another one next year, and we're going to go through some different islands in the Caribbean. That's in January, so we're already starting to take the reservations for that. Hey, does anybody like the Mediterranean?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's one I'm really pushing on, because you know we're in Turkey. So what we're trying to do maybe next fall is to do a little cruise, and we'll go in through, maybe we go down and start in the Amalfi Coast, maybe in Venice, and cruise around through, you know, the Amalfi Coast and the Greek islands and jump over into Istanbul. And when we do those, we always have some training and we have some fun, and we, you know, it's education first. You believe that? So watch for that. So what I want to do today, and they told me that they wanted me to talk no longer than 2 hours. It may go that long or not. We'll see. But I had really 3 things that I wanted to share with you. And the first one is what we call the Global Property Specialist Program. Do we have any GPS members here? Uno, dos, tres. Good. So I want to share with you why we did that and what the benefits of that are. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about how to build that international business that's actually right here in the palm of your hand, sitting here in Portland, Oregon. There's business. So I want to show you how to grab some of that. And then lastly, I want to just talk about the opportunity for what we call growth share within Keller Williams. And does anybody know why we call it growth share instead of profit share? Good. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that and some of the opportunities and how you can leverage your contacts in Nicaragua and Argentina to make things happen. Okay? Good. So with your permission, can I share a little bit about my background? How many of you seen me speak before? Okay, well, it might be a little repetitious, but first of all, let me just tell you that I'm an SOB. What does that mean? It's not that. It's son of the broker, and there's the broker, okay? And there's the son. And literally, I was about that age. It was a little small mom-and-pop company in Spokane, Washington, and I was, used to go on the listing appointments with my father, and that was the typical mom-and-pop real estate office back in the 50s and the 60s. And so my real estate career actually began literally the same day that I got commissioned in the Army in 1969. That was my first real estate photo. See, I haven't changed a bit, have I?
Not one bit.
And then a few years later, I bought the business from my father. I was just in my early 20s, and there was, isn't it great?
Hey, that was
It's not a hairpiece. So we were in another brand back in those days, and in that little mom and pop real estate office that you saw there, we had a recession, and so I put the old nail belt on, and bankrupt builder and we remodeled it into that, and then we grew up and into a bigger office. And back in towards the end of the 80s, had 120 agents working for me in Spokane, which back then was a big company, and I got really tired of doing that after about 20 years of, 1 year repeated itself. And so I had the opportunity to go to work on the international side. And I went down under to beautiful New Zealand. Anybody been to New Zealand? Great spot. You recognize this boat? That's the Greenpeace Warrior. And the French commandos sunk that in the New Zealand harbor because it was doing protests about their nuclear testing up in the Pacific Islands. And I was there. I actually got to dive that wreck. And then a couple years later, I went across the pond to Australia. And I got there right when they were having all of their unrest and land use problems with the Aborigines. The American Indians were over there showing them how to get their land use back. So I was there when all that excitement and stuff was going on. It was great times. And I was running the Century 21 real estate systems in that part of the world. From there, I had the opportunities to go into Indonesia, where I started up the Century 21 franchises for the biggest developer in the country. He built 10,000 homes that year. And I was there a year, and they had this government uprising. The Suharto regime was overthrown. Literally, we had 20,000 troops in the streets, tanks on every street corner. I'd be driving in a taxi down the street, machine gun fire would open up, and there'd be like thousands of people in the street as you're going through there. And I got out within weeks before the country was overthrown. We had opened up Century 21, and they actually burned some of our offices. So fantastic opportunity to really experience Asia, at the height of its growth. So, being the international guy, I said, well, gee, where can I go next? So I went to Latin America for 3 years. And when I got to Venezuela, first of all, we opened up Central America, and then I got to Venezuela right when this guy came to power, Hugo Chavez. Literally, there was gunfire in the parking lot of my office. I went out one time, picked up the shell casings as souvenirs. Truly.
You're everywhere you go?
I don't know. Now, you see that white-haired guy back there? You probably can't see it. That's not me, Chris.
Okay.
But I had a great opportunity, and we built up the largest real estate office in that year in all of South America. So that was a great experience. And then I got a call that they were opening up the real estate company in China. Hunching you. So I went to China, and when I got there, do you remember back in right about 2001, there was an American spy plane that was forced down over Hainan Island. They held the crew for 11 days while they looted the plane, took all the secrets out of it. And you know what? I got there right about then.
See?
Yeah. And then through the course of I lived there for 10 years. Now these guys, this was the richest man in all of China. I didn't know it. He looks like a farmer. We were doing an interview, and he came roaring out of a little private dining area in a restaurant, drunk, couldn't hit either side. I mean, he was just ripped. And we end up having a big conversation, and turns out he's the richest guy. Huge developer. This guy is the biggest developer in China, Wang Shi. He actually was on 60 Minutes not too long ago talking about the ghost cities of China. So had some wonderful experiences in China doing the business that was happening there. And like I say, spent 10 years, built up the biggest real estate company in China. We had 20,000 agents and 1,500 offices in 32 cities. And I got a call from a guy named Chris Heller. And that was 4 years ago, so I'm here. So here's a real quick quiz for you guys. Am I A or B? Kind of goes to your question, huh?
Right here.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, both.
Yeah, probably both. And it's funny, I've had a lot of people, even my kids used to look at me cross-eyed sometimes, say, where are you going next? So it's been a great career, and this really is I think, the pinnacle of my career. I've been now with Keller Williams, and with Chris, I was the first international person that they brought on board almost 4 years ago. So it's been a wonderful experience. So let's talk about the opportunities that really exist out there. And first of all, let me ask all of you, how many of you have had an international transaction or a transaction with an international person? I know you have. Let me see the show of hands. And that actually fits the National Association of Realtors statistics. 26% of all real estate people have had an international transaction. But guess what? Only 6% of them closed. Why? Well, lots of reasons. One, maybe they couldn't get financing. Maybe they had visa immigration challenges to come here. Maybe something happened in the transaction and they just kind of disappeared. The deal didn't close, and the reasons for that was there was maybe some cultural challenges that you had in the, or not you, but that the realtor had in that transaction, and they lost it. So that was one of the reasons why we decided to create the Global Property Specialist program, was to give you the tools and the sensitivity and the trainings so that you can increase that level of business, okay? So $68 billion worth of business happens last year, and that number is going up, and it's about equal. They're foreign non-residents and they're foreign residents, okay? And there's a difference between those. What are they buying? Well, guess what? The reason why is it's really profitable here. You know, we've done this and we went like this, but when you look at the 40, 50-year graph of real estate in the United States, it's always gone up. So they love that. It's transparent. It's secure. It's a great location. So that's the reason why the international people are coming here. What are they buying? Well, they're buying the residential single-family property, primary residences. Can you guys see this, or should we turn a light out?
Lights out.
Turn a light out, okay? Thanks. So, thank you. So they're buying what it is that you all have listed, right? Detached single-family properties. How are they doing it? I like this. More than 60% of the transactions are cash. Now, part of the training that we give you is how do you get that cash in here without going to jail for money laundering, right? And how to understand the FIRPTA laws and things like that, because this is really important. You don't want to have somebody walk in with a briefcase of cash. I mean, it sounds great, but it's dangerous, all right? So here's one of the myths. You know, everybody thinks, wow, you know, I've got this big mansion on the Columbia River, I've got the horse property, I've got something at the top of the hill, and it's worth $2, $3, $4 million, and the only buyer that's going to be on that is an international buyer. Do you all believe that? So here's why. Now, by the way, this was sold by a Keller Williams agent down in Silicon Valley. $100 million. This was one of the guys that founded LinkedIn. That was a Keller Williams sale. Here's another one, New York. This was a Russian heiress. Daddy bought that for her. But what they actually discovered later on, he was hiding money from the soon-to-be divorced ex-wife, and he was buying all these properties in the kids' names. But hey, $88 million. Here's another one. Anybody recognize that? Aaron Spellings? She was 24 years old, and that was a wedding present. So that's the mentality of sellers when you talk to them here. They think, there's no international buyer here for me. But here's the truth. What's your average sales price? Huh?
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it? That's the reality. The international buyers, $68 billion worth of transactions was at that kind of an average price. Where are they coming from? Canada, China, India, Mexico. Now the Canadians, they're not too many of them buying here. They want to go down to Florida and other places where it's warm. But that's where the buyers are coming from. And the reason I'm telling you all this information is, as we get a little further into our discussion, these are tools that you're going to use when you're sitting at the listing presentation with your client. So let's talk about some of those tools that we've created for you. And we wanted to do it in 4 different areas. We looked at it from the training, obviously networking so that you're with similar people that are doing the same kind of business, marketing, and the technology point of view. So from a training point of view, and we didn't really want to totally reinvent the wheel. Who knows what the CIPS designation, or let me ask, is there anybody that has a CIPS designation in the room? John, what is it?
Certified International Property Specialist.
Easy for you to say with a chalky in your mouth. See, I saw him put that in his mouth, so I'll get him. Certified International Property Specialist. And so that is a designation that the National Association put together, and we partnered with them. So it gives you some fantastic training opportunities where you're really learning about the worldwide perspective, how to